Hey that fools. Big T here, back with another video, and this is going to be like a multi-topic one. There's not a whole lot of stuff to talk about when it comes to Nintendo, and that's my motivation on this YouTube channel. So Nintendo hasn't given us anything in the way of a direct, so I guess we could talk about that. That's part of the multi-topics. So I'm just going to go over that. I'm going to go over kind of the, I think, somewhat myth that Switch ports are automatically more successful or just successful, and some Xbox Series X talk. So I'm sure we're gonna lose a lot of you by the time I get to that. But anyway, here we go. Not a whole lot to talk about because there is a drought on news when it comes to the Switch. Nintendo's going to PAX East with old games, and that's fine. But they're also going with Animal Crossing, New Horizons, which is cool. But Animal Crossing isn't really a kind of demo type of game because it takes time to get into it. But I guess you can get a feel for the mechanics, and who knows where in the game they're going to start you. Hopefully, you'll have some stuff. But it's even then, it's still not a demo type of game where you can get in for 5 or even 10 minutes and get a good feel for it, because it's the opposite of that kind of quick play game. It's a long play type of game to be able to get the benefits out of it. But I mean, I guess you can walk around and get a feel for it and mess with some items and whatnot. So that's cool. I think they're also having something. What else are they doing? Can't remember what else the game, but I remember that game not being the best. I think I'm thinking about the airport little Switch areas or whatever. That's probably what I'm thinking about, because you're gonna have like Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey there, and Mario Odyssey Mario Odyssey is good for short bursts. So because it for me, it's kind of built with the handheld aspect in mind, so you can collect a few many moons in a short time, but Breath of the Wild isn't. So again, maybe for the 5 people who haven't gotten the game yet, it's obviously more than that. I'm just being facetious, but that's a good game. I'm trying to say that's not the best game for that kind of environment, I don't think, because you want to be immersed in that world, and it's hard to do that in the middle of an airport terminal. But it's cool that they're doing stuff like that, thinking outside of the box, how they advertise for Switch, and that's a good way to do it, I think. So at least they're doing something different, so that's cool. But yeah, not a whole lot on the Switch news front. I just loathe these early, part of the years where we don't get much games or news. We get ports or whatever that I don't buy. So I guess I do start to dive into some other ports. And so now that I don't go into talking about that, it is cool when you get maybe an Xbox 360 or PS3 game that you haven't played, and it gets ported to Switch. And usually it's at a good price, because unlike Nintendo, these guys don't charge full price for these older ports, which is great, which is a smart thing. And they get new life that they haven't gotten before, or they get repurchased by people who actually have the games already but want to play it again. And why not on the Switch, when they can play it wherever they want, however they want? So that is cool. But I think there's somewhat of a myth around the success, especially from like Nintendo first party stuff coming from Switch. I think for me, from what I've seen anyway, and I think the outlier being Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. For me, from what I've seen, the games sell, relatively to the same ratio, based on the install base that they sold on Wii U. I think the biggest blaring one when it comes to that is Tokyo Mirage Session Sharp FP. It appears that game's success or lack of success had nothing to do with Wii U's install base. People just aren't interested in that game. And it's unfortunate for me because it was my 2016 game of the year. That was my favorite game that year. But I think a lot of people kind of were turned off. They were expecting a different experience and not kind of a J-pop kind of turn-based role-playing game. They were expecting more along the sides of a strategy type of game because it's supposed to be, it was touted as Shin Megami Tensei Cross Fire Emblem. And so people were expecting probably more strategic, more kind of serious stuff. I mean, I was, but I rather enjoyed what I got. But I just think, especially when looking at the Japan numbers, I think it initially did worse than Wii U. I mean, obviously it's a port, so it's not going to get the same kind of attention, even on a bigger install base system. But it just kind of shows me, or lets me know that just because you put it on the Switch, this whole idea of it's stuck on the Wii U and people will go out in droves and get it when it comes to the Switch just really hasn't been the case. If you look at even Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, I think it sold over 2 million, maybe not even that. And the Wii U version sold over 1 million. So it did better. They sold more copies. They made more money off of it for sure. But if you look at, if you're basing it system to system and the install base, I think the Wii U probably did better as far as the ratio goes. The ratio of people who own it to actually who bought the game. So there's that, and same for like something like Captain Toad. I think Mario is a little different because it's Mario, and people love Mario games, even the more bland ones like New Super Mario Brothers 2 and New Super Mario Brothers U. I mean, it's not bland. That one actually, the Wii U one is actually better than the Wii one, and probably better than the original New Super Mario Brothers. I would probably say that. So it's probably the best of the new Super Mario Brothers games. But it's not saying a whole lot because, from my perspective, and a lot of people, the new Super Mario Brothers has been kind of generic, especially art style wise. I'm not overly a fan of the animation, how Mario moves around and jumps around. I'm not a huge fan of that. But like I said, the U version is probably the best of the new Super Mario games. And so it probably overperformed, but again, it's a Mario 2D platformer, and they tend to do well regardless. So even like I said, even New Super Mario Brothers 2 did really well on 3DS. So, and that game is it's soulless. Let me stop. But yeah. So, and I'm trying to think of other examples. What else do we have? What other ports that I'm not thinking of off the top of my head? Like Hyrule Warriors, I guess you can count that. It's not first party, but it's a first party IP as far as Zelda goes. I think that's pretty comparable to the Wii U version. I think it did more, but not much. Bayonetta, the Bayonetta 1 and 2 double pack, it did better. Or maybe, I don't know if it did better. I think it did better. I think it did better than the Wii U version. But it didn't overperform as far as install base, and and it's a great game. So it's not like it's about the game. And again, I think this probably goes back to me talking about the price. I think the pricing of, making these games full priced, like they're new games on the Switch just because they're on the Switch now. I think that might hurt the sales. I think if these games came out at $40, I would have double dipped for sure on a couple more. But they're full pricing them, and I think that hurts. I think that actually hurts the sales. Now, obviously, you look at Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. It's probably overperforming. I mean, it's doing super well, but it is a great kart game, and I gave my reasons for why I double dipped on it, and they're pretty, extensive. If you go look at that video where I kind of talk about the ports, I feel like I've been talking ports a lot lately, but like I said, there's not a whole lot to talk about. So, but I think that game did well. Obviously, because it's a Mario Kart game, they do well. But if you look at, traditional selling Nintendo consoles, ones that don't sell as much as the Wii, Mario Kart, they sell around 8 to 9 million, maybe a little more, 7 to 9 on the non-astronomical selling consoles like Wii and obviously Switch. If you look back at, N64, I think it's around 8 million or something like that. So they do well. And Mario Kart 8 on Wii U did well. And it's going to sell more. It's a Mario branded game. So it does well because of that. But Mario Kart is pretty universal type of game that anybody can play. So it makes sense that it would do that well. So I just don't, just looking at least what we've had so far, as far as ports go, maybe the pricing structure hurts the sales a bit, but there's outside of Mario Kart 8, nothing has been like, oh my gosh, see, if only was the Wii U sold better, then this game would have done better. I don't see that, again, New Super Mario Brothers U, it's somewhat different, but I mean, the game sold great on Wii U. So of course it's going to do better on Switch. So I just think, these games are, mired because of the platform they're on is kind of it's just not true. They were very successful on a not successful platform. So there you have that. But anyway, now Xbox Series X. If you guys don't know, I'm definitely going to be grabbing one of those bad boys this year. I have the original Xbox One, the VCR, the original one. Mine didn't come with a Kinect, but it's that original model, that original style, and I'm ready to upgrade. And I was gonna pull the trigger on an X last Christmas time ish, but Microsoft. They showed off the Series X, and I was like, I'm not really looking forward to upgrading the PC, which I'll probably have to do sometime this year for gaming. And I'm not, and I want a new Xbox. And if this thing is going to be a nice legacy console, like it looks like, it's going to be obviously really powerful. But it's also the more important thing for me is that it's going to be, continue my ecosystem. I still play original Xbox games, and to be able to do that on a new console that enhances those games, it enhances Xbox original and 360 games, and that's really cool to me. And it's already a bunch of games that I already have that I can play and bring over and not have to worry about anything. Going back to 2001. That's very cool. That's somewhat PC like, where you can continue those games. Obviously you have to have some games require you to have older software, but you can still play games from the 90s on your PC if you have that set up. So it's very cool. That's my biggest thing. I'm a fan of Halo. I'm a fan of Forza. Project Gotham was where I started. It's now Forza. So I'm looking for it. Gears. I'm a fan of Gears. So those games are already going to bring me in, but having the incentive of backwards compatibility that enhances older games, like, it's very cool. And if you haven't seen it, what it does to a lot of these games, sometimes it's night and day, and it's just awesome. I'm thinking of like Elder Scrolls 3. Looks almost night and day from the original Xbox version to the enhanced version. So it's real cool to be able to have that kind of stuff. And yeah, that's where I am. Like I've hated Microsoft forever because of, I think, some of the terrible business practices they brought to the industry, and that are enjoyed by a lot of companies now. But and also I hated what happened to Rare. Once they acquired them, they did nothing with Rare's IPs, and still to this day mostly haven't done anything. And I hate that. But I like what they do get right. They get online right, and they get ecosystem right. So I'm very happy to enjoy that going forward. So yeah, that's my take on these topics. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below on any of the things I touched on here. There's probably something you would like to comment on. There's a plethora of things here. Well, at least 3 different topics. So yeah, let me know what you think in the comments below. Thank you again for watching and listening, and I'll see you fools next time. Peace out.